This week, we got Sony making big purchases, Xbox features getting disabled, and more. So let's just go ahead, together, as a people, and check it out! And welcome to another sensational Sunday. I'm Mike, and I'm ready to get newsy. In fact, I'm so ready to get newsy, I'm going to talk about some old news first, just to get ready for the new news this week. So yeah, I completely missed the story last week about Redfall. So Redfall is coming out May 1st on the Xbox Series consoles and on PC, and let's be honest here, Microsoft has been severely lacking on exclusives, so they really need to give people a reason to buy an Xbox. Well, it seems that Redfall may stumble a bit on launch, since on April 12th, the Redfall Twitter account announced that the game would be launching without the 60 frames per second performance mode on Xbox. It's going to be launching with 30 frames per second quality mode, with a performance mode coming in a future update. Now, a consistent 30 frames per second isn't bad in a lot of cases, but generally, for a shooter or a faster paced game, you want 60 frames per second so the combat feels snappier. Even people who don't care about frame rates would probably think the game feels a bit sluggish if they played any other shooter like a Call of Duty or a Fortnite or a Halo. I think launching the game without the 60 frames per second performance mode could make a bad first impression at a time when Microsoft really needs exclusives. I'll definitely be checking it out since I have Game Pass, and I'm hoping this doesn't leave a bad first impression of the game and ruin its potential long-term success. But Microsoft does have plenty of multiplayer games like Halo, Gears, potentially Call of Duty in the future, and Redfall like we just talked about because they acquired Bethesda. Well, I bet Sony's feeling a little bit left out since they don't really have any big multiplayer first-party games. Well, they announced back in April of 2021 that they'd be publishing a multiplayer game from Firewalk Studios. Well, now Sony has just decided to acquire Firewalk Studios altogether. Now, this is a fairly new studio, but it was formed by people who worked on Destiny 1 back when Bungie was partnering with Activision. So there are people leading the studio that have development experience with a successful multiplayer game. And now both of those studios are under Sony, so maybe they'll get to work together at some point in the future again. Some of the other people at the studio have worked on games like Halo, Apex Legends, and Call of Duty, so there are a lot of people with experience working on larger multiplayer games. The game for PS5 is the first game that the studio will be shipping, so we'll see if their experience pays off in the final product. Overall, I think it's a good move for Sony. While they may have critically acclaimed single-player games, I feel like they don't have a big PlayStation exclusive multiplayer game. It seems like after the PS2/PS3 era, they kind of gave up on multiplayer franchises like SOCOM, Killzone, and Resistance. Now right now, we don't know that this game will be a shooter, we just know it's going to be multiplayer. It would make a lot of sense if it was, considering the experience that they have at Firewalk Studios are mostly with shooters, but I'm excited to see what this game ends up being. But buying a studio does cost money, and Sony has to get that money from somewhere, right? Well, that money may be coming from PC gamers, as Sony has begun raising its prices of its PC games in several regions. Right now, the price changes seem to be happening in Argentina, Canada, Chile, China, Colombia, Japan, and South Korea, according to the GameSpot article. The price increases have generally ranged from 10 to 15% depending on the region, except Argentina, which saw the price of God of War on PC increase by 50%. So yeah, these are pretty significant price changes for games that have already been out. And we've seen them raise the prices of the PS5 in other regions outside of the US as well. And I always find it weird when prices go up on existing products. I know generally in the US, these PC releases from Sony have been cheaper than the PS5 counterparts. Maybe it's them trying to bring the price to parity with the PS5 versions of the game, but still it would make more sense from a consumer standpoint to release the future games at higher prices and not raise the prices on existing games. Speaking of raising prices, Microsoft has removed the feature from the Xbox, and that's what we're talking about in our final story. So on the Xbox, you were previously able to share clips directly to Twitter. Well, that has changed as Microsoft has removed that feature from the Xbox. They provided instructions on how to share these clips via the mobile app, but it's not currently possible on the console directly any longer. Microsoft hasn't given a direct reason for the change, but as the IGN article points out, it's probably due to changes at Twitter. After Twitter was purchased, they made a change to their API access, specifically that it used to be free, and now it costs $42,000 a month for up to 50 million tweets. Now, depending on how many users are on Xbox consoles and are using that feature, it could easily be more than that per month for Microsoft if they continue to use the feature, since it was likely using the Twitter API to work. The workaround by using the mobile app is likely just opens the Twitter app on your phone to share the content, so it wouldn't be using the API, aka it will still be free for Microsoft. So this does suck from a user standpoint, especially for people that shared Xbox gameplay from their console to Twitter frequently, but I can also understand from Microsoft's standpoint of not wanting to pay a large fee for something that was previously free just to share gameplay on one particular social media platform. Now obviously this could change in the future, so the feature could possibly come back, but for now, RIP to direct Twitter shares on Xbox. But let me know what type of game you think Sony's mystery multiplayer game will be. And until next time, if you enjoyed this video, then make sure to tell a friend, tell a coworker, like, share, and subscribe, and hit that bell notification to get notified when I drop a video or a live stream. And always do at least 2 things at the same time. We out.